everyone, welcome back. This is the third video in our THC Launchpad series where we look at how to launch your branding and marketing in the cannabis industry. In today's video, we're going to be looking at specifically how to approach launching your brand in a new state. This would be a state where it's just becoming legal now or in the near future, or has just recently come online. If this is your situation, congratulations, because one of the best things you can do in the cannabis industry is get started early in a new state. You have a big advantage when you're one of the first brands to launch in that state. Again, it doesn't matter where you're at in the industry, whether you're a grower, you're a retailer, you're a auxiliary business, wherever you're at, being one of the first ones gives you a big advantage because we've seen it in every state as more and more states are coming online. It's really the Wild West, and some are wilder than others. You may be in a state where it's very wild, and there's a lot of chaos in how the new rules are being implemented, who is getting licenses, the process for getting those licenses, and there's often a lot of uncertainty. How is your regulatory board, how strict are they going to be? How loose are they going to be? What's going to be strictly enforced? What, may not be, what is going to be enforced? And it's like, oh, this was a bad idea for the industry. We're going to have to change. Like, all these things are unclear. And yes, there's been a learning curve, and newer states are being able to learn from the mistakes of the first states like Washington, Colorado, Oregon, where I'm located. But even 5, 6, 7 years in, there are still a lot of a lot of mistakes are happening in these newer states, and so that can be scary, but it also means there's a lot of opportunity, especially for businesses that are smart, that have learned lessons. This is why a lot of operators in states that were established early are expanding into new states or completely changing their focus into these new states. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm guessing you've already heard this, but it cannot be emphasized enough, which is in almost every state, we've seen the same pattern where there's an initial boom, where everyone is getting rich. There isn't too much competition yet. Things are wide open, especially if you know what you're doing and how to run a business competently. It can be very easy. And what that leads to is a complacency all too often, because you're like, oh, I'm making money, I have all this money, I can't even spend it, I can't put it in the bank, and you just think it's going to last forever. People are buying super expensive cars, they're buying home, they're just living large because they think it's going to last forever, and come year 2, year 3, year 4, and it all kind of evaporates. Not completely, but pretty fast, because what'll happen is that year 3 harvest, sometimes even year 2 harvest, all of a sudden a lot more, everyone was having success, but more and more licenses came online, more and more businesses opened, more and more weed is hitting the market, and all of a sudden, and at the same time, the market in year 1 to year 2, usually it gets smaller. If it's hovering at about the same, you're doing pretty well. But the market is, if anything, constricting, whereas more and more cannabis is coming on the market, more and more competing businesses are entering the arena. And so what was like a cash cow is like, oh, I have all this product and I don't know how to get rid of it. Or, oh, I hired 5 employees between year 1 and year 2 because I was preparing for, just continued growth. And now, I'm going to have to start firing people, or, I'm losing. It happens in many different ways. But the pattern is the same, where you just thought that the good times were going to be forever. It's not going to be that way. And so what does that mean for your business? Well, based on my experience, you need to be focused on two things. One, you need to know that this is going to happen and you need to plan accordingly. You need to make your decisions assuming that what's happening in year one or year two is not going to continue long term. You need to assume that things are going to get tight. And so don't overextend yourself. Don't overgrow based on the initial growth, or, be flexible, however you can. At the same time, you need to be investing in your brand, because when the market shrinks, when the market becomes more competitive and there's more people competing for the same amount of money, of customers, whatever, they're going to be attracted to the familiar brand, the brand that they trust, the brand that they've grown to like. And so if you invest in that kind of branding and customer experience, you're the ones that are going to be able to withstand. And so when you see the attrition that's going to happen in your state, I can guarantee that the brands that stand out, the ones that are making a name for themselves because of the customer experience they're creating, they're the ones that are going to survive. And so that is my biggest advice. When you are launching in a new state, when you're expanding into a new state, focus on not growing the fastest, not growing the biggest, but on doing what you do really well and creating that positive, experience that's going to create loyalty, that's going to create repeat customers, that's going to create a relationship that will endure. If you have experience growing in new states, or if you're in a new state and you have some questions about it, feel free to share them in the comments. Feel free to reach out to me directly. You can find our contact information on the website or my personal contact information. I'd be happy to talk with you. I really appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I would love it if you subscribe to our channel, like the video, but most of all, good luck to you. And I hope that you take your state by storm. We are here to support you. Good luck, and I will see you next time.